Dave Moss here, hi. Here in New Zealand, doing a tour over the next 2 weeks with several county councils, Kapiti. Then we're going to Lower Hutt, we're doing Wellington, and we're also going to do Pororua. So we're here at Pororua tonight. We've done a suspension tuning ride today, and we're doing a class. Detailed specifics on this one is all about urban riding and ergonomics and fitting yourself to the motorcycle. So as I travel around, it's on my Facebook page, Instagram page. It's all there, so you know where I am, at what location, and you can sign in and log up there. The big part is the knowledge you'll gain is a lifetime of information that you can leverage with your motorcycle to make yourself feel comfortable. Most important. Secondly, set the bike up to your weight so that it rides properly. And thirdly, understand how to dial it in and make it right for you, because you are a unique human and your bike has to work for you. So look up the classes, look up the information, see what fits best for you, what resonates with you in booking, and we'll see you soon. I want to dive into a couple of things a little more in depth. We're going to do a little bit of theory here, and then that theory is going to go outside. And we're going to use my CB500X as a poor donor bike to use theory and put it up against what the reality of it is. So, one of the videos I produced recently was shifter and rear brake. And on that, and the purpose for that specifically was, do you have a down angle? Do you have an up angle? And what is that distance? Why has that got any context? What's the point? What's your shoe size?
10. 9. 8. 9. 11.
Okay, so anywhere from an 8 to a 13. Oh, I didn't put the tape measure on your feet yet. That's coming. Every bike has X distance. Well, who's it for? So you bought it, so apparently it's for you. But if that one motorcycle is supposed to work for everybody on the planet, what shoe size is it actually built for? And what this leads to is the point that we are the biggest group of masochists on the planet. We will just make it work. We will jam our foot in there and we will do whatever we need to do to shift it, because damn it, we wanted that bike. We're buying that bike. So one of the first questions I ask is, would you ever rent a car and not move the seat and the steering wheel and the mirrors? Of course you would. So what have you done to your motorcycle? One of my first purchases is not carbon fiber and colored bolts and a loud pipe and an ECU remap. It's a shifter that fits my shoe size. So when we go outside, what you might find is that if somebody's boot is here, the heel is actually there. It's nowhere near the peg. Not even close to it. Because if we want leverage, where's our heel gonna go? Should go right against the peg, right? So we should have our heel of our boot there, foot coming down, out, and up. And the shifter should be somewhere in this zone. Should be. Well, what happens with your shoe if that gap is so small that your shoe actually, your toe's there, and your heel is back here? Now, when I put you on the bike, and it becomes much more obvious that the shifter side, you have to have the right piece for your foot, because your heel's supposed to lock against the peg. Now you've got leverage, which makes that up-down motion easy. The other part of that, how flexible is your ankle? So that is about as normal as we get. It's actually a little more. We're roughly about 100 degrees just standing because our heels pick us up a little bit, right? Most of us have that angle on the shifter because it's in the wrong position. How many of you miss shift on bikes you've owned? So is it because we are trying to do this and this muscle goes rock hard and we're trying to shift? Now, normally what I'll ask people to do is go through the movement of the shifter up and down. At the top of the stroke, you have to be greater than 90 degrees because then it's a natural movement because your foot and your ankle's relaxed. How much do we shift over braking? A ton more. You're up and down the gearbox like a bloody yo-yo. You don't have to brake all the time. We just shift, 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 shift. Quick shifter makes it easier because you don't have to use a clutch. But how much pain and misery are you in on the shift side? A, because that gap is way too narrow and you're jamming your foot in, or worse, your heels are on the peg and you're trying to stretch and get your big toenail into the shifter. So there's a problem there that we just deal with and fight, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So in regards to that, when we put you on the bike outside in the second half of it, it's going to be interesting seeing whose shoe fits. Now the other piece is, how many of you actually measured that gap? How many of you have actually measured your boot or your shoe? Doesn't make sense, does it? But it will in a minute. So I will take a shoe, I'll put it against the heel, and then ask the human, what do you use to shift with? I shift with my big toenail, that section of my foot. That's what I use. I prefer that because it gives me a really great feel. Now, on street bikes, it's a street pattern because we're shifting up. On my race bike, I'm shifting down. I don't need the feel, but I sure need the feel downshifting on the race bike coming into corner, braking hard, trying to make a pass. So I have to flick between two styles. But when you're on the street, some people prefer the second knuckle of their big toe and some want to use their actual arch of the foot. Are they doing that because the gap's too damn small? And they're just wedging the foot in and that's the only way they can do it. So I will physically measure the gap and whoever's going to sit on the bike is going to give me their foot and I'm going to measure it from the heel to the part of the foot that they want to use. So that way you can see middle of the peg to middle of the shifter, what is that gap and how does it relate to your boot? Simple, easy stuff that nobody cares about because you get on the bike and you ride it and you adapt and adapt and adapt. Rear brake, how many of you have an angle of much less than 70 degrees and you carry your foot off to the side because the peg's above your boot and you just do this? And you're doing that with your foot before you touch it. So there's a lot of ergonomic challenges that we give ourselves for absolutely no reason at all. Handlebars. Yes, I am a rubbish artist. We generally put a bar right there, heel of the hand. How is a handlebar shaped? Comes back like this, right? So what do? That. So we get that alignment. Have you thought about moving your handlebars to roll them backwards or forwards if they're on top of the triple clamps? Because nobody measures your spine and the distance from your belly button to the bars. The taller you are, maybe the longer your arms are. And the worst part is that when it's too far, you do that. What happens to your fists? So the only way to compensate is do that. And you turn your fist out because your shoulders are open. How many of you have pain in your neck or numb fingers and hands you shake out every once in a while? So there's a part of the puzzle there again where all this misery is self-induced. Because we most probably have a handlebar that comes diagonally right across our hand. So again, when you go home, you can sit on the bike and see how it feels. Now, some bikes, Ninja 650, very popular lamps bike, the end of the bar sits like that. Who signed off on that? How is a handlebar that does this okay? How much stress is on the outside of your hands here? So, for shits and giggles, make a fist and turn it in and feel where it hurts. It doesn't take much, to push your elbow out and feel the pain in your joint and your rotator cuff. And that's just doing this. You're not riding, you're not going anywhere, you're not doing anything. Well, how about a handlebar that does this then? Where does that hurt? Shoulder blades, because you're crunching your shoulder blades together. How many cruisers have handlebars like that? Then, how many of you do this all day? So your natural hand position is here, right? It's just how it works. Well, you'll make it work on a bike because you'll keep your second knuckle in line with your shoulder. That's comfortable. That makes sense. Feels normal. But when your bars go wider and your fist goes outside your shoulder, you better be working with your hands every day because you do this. So that becomes much more natural. So Triumph offers 7 widths of handlebars. 7 to fit you. Did you know that? Why would you not make yourself comfortable on a motorcycle that leaves you that vulnerable, because we've got nothing, and already make yourself uncomfortable, which creates pain, which creates distraction because you're trying to manage the pain, which creates then missed moments of opportunity to protect yourself because your brain is so preoccupied with misery and discontent, you're just not present. And all of that can be resolved by buying the right components. But we don't know that because nobody teaches us that, and nobody even more at the dealership tells us, hey, you're this high or your shoulders are this big, why don't we look at? So when I ran the Yamaha dealership, I would find the right bars and the right levers. I have stubby fingers, I don't have long fingers. Stock levers wouldn't work for me, fingers are too short. So I'd find this, you need this, your shoe size is this, you need this lever. Build the bike, put it into finance, sold the bike. That got me in so much trouble because you're required as an OEM to sell the bike as is. When it comes back after the first service, then you can deal with it. But I didn't want that. I wanted the person to be safe, fitted, on a motorcycle that when they left was perfect for them.
So the manufacturer tells you to sell the bike as is?
You have to. If you change it, what are you doing to that motorcycle? It's not. There's a warranty issue because it's supposed to be sold as is. Is a car sold as is?
What size person is the average manufacturer size? This is the average bike person. What size is it?
Where are the most 250s to 300s sold in the world? Asia. There's your bell curve. The rest of us? There you go. Where are the most 1000cc bikes sold?
America.
First world countries. Disposable income. In those first world countries, Where are the tallest and heaviest people? Europe. Now, if Ducati is modeling it off their native population, they're not that tall, they're not that heavy, generally. And that bell curve is shorter people. So over the years, Ducati started with very soft bikes. But the 916, 996, 998 was the longest measurement for bar to handlebars. It resembled a 1960s racer. And your feet were here. And they designed it that way because then you were in the race position. And it was a street bike that you could take to the track and race immediately. Very smart marketing, but what did it do for the street rider? 4 ibuprofen. Okay, let's go for a ride.
Is there any adjustability stock? Like, could you,
Sure.
sort of mount?
Yeah. So handlebars like this that are mounted here can roll forwards and backwards that way. Now, 30 years of rugby, that's my handlebar. Can I get my handlebar made for me? Sure. But I can also get a bike with cruise control because I can't ride like this for 10 hours. Because I'm so asymmetric. Where's my shoulder? Where's my head? I'm compensating like this. So I have to hit cruise and ride one-handed. And then when I get into an urban environment, it comes back to 2 hands. Because I created my own physical disabilities through enjoyment and fun, which I wouldn't take back for a second. But that's who I am now. 10 years from now, how much more warped am I going to be? So, handlebars can rotate forwards and backwards. They can also go across left to right. What if I've got a frozen shoulder and it needs to be here? Why should that be over there? So I had a lady with a shoulder injury. She needed her bar moved. I moved it so that she was here. Stressed this a little bit, but no pain. But brought this hand over. Bar was offset. She was pain-free for the first time in several years. Husband was about 300 psi, cocked 1 foot forward because the bar was off-center. He could not hear that his wife was pain-free. So OCD folks can't do this. They can't go off-center. They need to go get a push bike and go ride that because it'll be on-center. But when we get physical disabilities, we have to honor them. So why should the handlebar be centered and we struggle? That doesn't make any sense to me at all. 80% of the motorcycles I've done in the last week and a half have all had some form of alignment to get the human centered.
And does that not affect your geometry of your bike?
Doesn't move where you're seated. But what it does, instead of this, goes to this. And one of the things we never do is take a look at elbow to torso. Is it the same gap? And are they at the same height? How many used bikes do you buy where handlebars might be questionable? 3 today. Literally like that. Take measure up the side. Take measure up the side. Oh. What did they do when they got on the bike? Yes, I got a new bike. Did they have a friend check them on it? Take a photograph? Dude, you look like you're... What's that about? No. 3 months later, I think I'll sell this. There's nothing wrong with the bike. There's a component that's bent. The other part with, if you're here, then obviously with our brake and clutch lever, this gap can be adjusted either direction, right? Brake levers, almost all of them are fully adjustable. Clutch levers, not so much. One of the funniest things is that the clutch lever might be 12 centimeters away from the grip, and the brake lever's 4. So how come motorcyclists have this massive left hand? Enormous left hand. And it's so funny to go see it, but the clutch will be all the way out there and the brake will be in here. And again, who ticked that box? Who said that's okay at Kawasaki or Suzuki or Honda, or who said, oh yeah. But as a manufacturer, you want to make one of something and sell millions of them. Do you want a bike with unique pieces that is unique to that bike? Not really. So a Suzuki lever will fit a Triumph, which will fit a Kawasaki, there's quite a bit of interchangeability there, which is good for us because whose parts are cheaper, but they fit when you cross-reference part numbers. So with these, when you're really tall, where's your angle? But when you're much shorter, where's your angle? Why wouldn't you rotate the levers into the right position? So the worst one is that you go to brake like that. What's that about? You're trying to brake like this. It's much easier to have everything in a straight line and brake like that. Always. And the other part is, have you ever put your hand on top of the throttle and said, go get your brake? Don't move my hand. 90% of riders do this first. Because either the gap here is too short and their knuckles are right up against the lever, so the first thing they do is this. Now they've got to clear the lever up, and now they can reach forward and go for the brake. At 100K, that's 800 meters of nothing but probably acceleration, because you've got to do this first. How many of you have been in a situation where the bike won't stop? You have that little bit of panic moment going, it's not stopping, because you actually caught the throttle a little bit. So that happens, but there's no reason for it to happen if you get the ergonomics piece correct. You can choose your own bar, you can choose your own levers, you can choose the gap, you can choose the roll radius, and you can choose the lateral radius. If this doesn't fit your hand properly, 2 today. Oh, I'll just go buy a new lever. Give me 5 seconds. I took it in that way because the hand was too big. So instead of buying a new lever, I took the fat part of the lever and moved it across over here. They don't need to buy a lever now. I'm sure they're sad because I'm sure they had a color in mind and a manufacturer and they wanted but why? Why would you need to do that? Come on in. So the part there is you can rationalize and look at it, but are we taught to do that? We're not. Are we taught to problem solve in ways where we can fix it for basically 5 minutes of time, a couple of tools, and it didn't cost us any money, but the net benefit is massive to us. And the longer you ride, the more the benefit is that you reap. Short urban rides, we could probably ride with handlebars like this, get there, get off, and it doesn't matter. But when you're riding for an hour or more and you're embedding that fatigue and that asymmetry, then that's going to build and build and build and build and just become a huge problem. Does that make sense? So one of the things we really struggle with is, are we fitting that motorcycle? Well, I want that bike and I don't care. I'm going to ride it. But if you buy an expensive bicycle, it's 45 minutes of pedaling. So you've got the right pedal, you've got the right crank, you've got the right frame, you've got the right bar coming away because of this. You have the right handlebar. Everything is ergonomically geared to you being perfect mechanically. Everything. But with a bike, oh, I can ride that? Oh, thanks. And we just get on it and we ride it. So a lot of accidents come from corner entry, single motorcycle. The time span where that usually occurs is not the first 10 minutes. It's after 40 minutes of riding where there's fatigue and tiredness, and your eyes don't pick up the speed as much as it should. You're not as present. And all of that comes from this. Not being in the right place, comfortable to relax and ride. So, when you get your next motorcycle, or if you go home, would you try and at least take a look at that? One of the easiest things is to just sit on your bike, close your eyes, and do that. Where do you want your hands? And open your eyes. How far away are the bars? How wide are the bars, but you're here? Don't hunt for them. Everybody's got a natural reach and bend in their arm. We don't ride a motorcycle like this. It's so funny how many people sit on a bike and instantly lock their arms out. Like, what are you doing? Relax your elbows. And what happens to their spine? And what happens to their neck? And that's how they ride. They're trying to hide it. I'm good. I'm fine. No, relax your damn elbows. Oh. And where are you looking? At the ignition switch. So you have to do this to look ahead. So would an offset riser putting the bar back a 50 mil to you be better? And that's where closing your eyes, sitting on the bike and doing this really works. Does that make sense? Okay. This is the one that gives you numb fingers, because your handlebar is literally there. How do we pick something up? It's right there, right? Did you know if your handlebars move forwards and backwards? Sport bike handlebars move. It's amazing how many people don't know that. Or how many go, that bolt's never coming out. But what if I could move your bars there and make it perfectly comfortable? No, that bolt has to stay in there. Fine. Go drill another hole. What? Go drill another hole. Handlebar belongs there. Mark it on the bottom, flick the triple over, drill a hole, bolt it back in. Well, now I've got 2 holes. Want a tissue? What? I mean, need a crying session in the corner? Why will you fight so much to make yourself uncomfortable? And sometimes it's really, really hard to get that message across, because what you're doing there is defacing the motorcycle. You are adding a hole that doesn't belong. And that can be very problematic. Very problematic. Any questions on what we covered? Okay. You ready to go outside and put this into practice? Okay, let's go. Okay, while you're there, stay on it and square it up. Now, take your hands off completely. Relax them by your side. If this is normal, you already know that handlebar's a nightmare for the person, because we want to do this, right? So the grip part of that, there's a roll radius. We can go this way and we can go that way if we want to. Hold the grips, go behind him. Are his shoulders tilted one way? Are his arms coming out at the same angles? What can you see from the front? No, because the part here is, we are asymmetric, period.
Yeah.
He's young enough to be very slightly, or probably not.
Yeah.
But put somebody my age on there, and it's going to be a joke. Okay, now, do you feel centered?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Hold on a second. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Looking at this gap here, does that look the same on both sides? And if you need this, do you need this off?
Oh, no.
So leave it. If you don't need it off, does the handlebar look centered and even this way? Now, it does look longer on our right from here, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How would that translate in his hands? If it's out here, it'd be there.
It's wider.
So,
Something going on with his shoulder.
So at that point, that arm is slightly lower because it's slightly further out, because the more we go across, the lower this becomes, right? So there's a piece of the puzzle there where for you, it fits and you make it work. The other piece is stay still. 61 centimeters. So, as soon as he goes for the bars, what happens to his shoulders? So the shoulder blades open up, right? Can you feel it? Just gently, don't come much, but your shoulder blades will open up. So if you're tall enough with long enough arms, this fits you perfectly. It's not an issue. But if you're not, you come in more and more and more, and you're stretching your arms and straightening your arms and reaching forward when there's no need to do that. If this handlebar was another 50 mil towards you. So why would you not buy an offset and eliminate all that pain?
What's an offset?
So an offset would take this handlebar here and take it 50 mil. It picks up,
This piece here.
so it bolts in where the handlebar is now, but the handlebar sits back here. So this is your original housing. This piece on the top comes over here. So now you have 4 bolts. You have 2 for the bar, 2 for the piece that brings the bar back. Does that make sense? It does? Good. All right, now let's do this. Okay, I need your boot on my knee. Up, up. So his boot size to the ball of his foot is right around 17 centimeters. Okay, let go, relax. So heel to the peg is 17 to the edge of the peg. So we know what that gap is. It's somewhat similar to his boot size, right? Seems like it. Now you'll have to come this side. Come around. Do not touch the pedal. What's his ankle angle? It's less than 90. So at this point, there's a bolt and there's a spline. Anything wrong with moving that 1 notch?
Not a thing.
Just to make him comfortable. Okay, so put your foot on. Now, irrespective of where the pedal is, push it till your foot's extended and you're comfortable. So realistically, about there's comfortable, right? Just push it till you're comfortable.
Just like trying to break.
Yeah. So if we notched it, 1 spline, he'd be in a perfect position. What do? So there's your first part of your homework. Now, let's switch sides. We know the boot measurement is 117. Okay, so middle of the peg, 155. Ooh, that's problem A. So, put your foot under the shifter. You can see where the boot's scuffed. He's using his big toe, and that's fine. His heel's on the peg, so it's making it work. Now, go all the way up and hold up. Now it's crushing his foot, but with steel toe caps, he's greater than 90. Just. But if he had steel toe caps, he'd definitely be greater than 90. So, leave it in gear. So now put your foot over and on top. Not so comfortable. So again, is there anything wrong with dropping this 1 spline to make him comfortable? Or, in looking at this, we have a piece of all thread there. Why not change the all thread setting and actually move the thread? So if you look at it and you turn it to the engine, does it raise or lower the peg? What does it do? Why can't you just loosen it up, move it, and adjust it to exactly where you want it? That makes sense? Yeah, there's 2 lock nuts and a piece of all thread. Just like a sport bike would, or some other bikes have a shift rod as part of the mechanism. Loosen the rod, move the shifter. Move your radius to fit exactly what you're looking for. Again, how often do we shift? It's constant.
Good thing once you get in the foot, you leave it to do.
On a twin, Well, you could be lazy if you wanted to, but then you're going to burn up fuel, eh? Leaving it in third all day. Right, next piece was the hands and the fingers. So, just lay your fingers on top of the lever. Can't reach it. He's going to squeeze his finger out because he's going to use his thumb as a prehensile tail to go get it. So now just rest your fingers. Okay. See his hand came up? So we can accommodate that. So the hand position is dominated by the shortest part of the lever to get to his second finger. So we're adapting again to get it right. Now, hand on the grip. Go get it, but don't move my hand. It's going to move my hand, so the lever is too high, eh? So why can't we lower the lever a little bit? Should we lower it? Help him out? Okay.
There is, yeah.
So
That's the cable for the free play.
With mine, I thought there was a little set screw that pushes it closer to the handlebars.
Oh, here, I'll get this out of your way first.
Okay. I don't know if it's a 5 or a 4. It's a 5.
There you go. I can do this one.
Sure, go for it.
That's what I thought.
Still pretty tight.
No. The little screw that pushes the handlebar.
Okay, so at this point, we can radius this, right? Depending where he wants his finger, if he had really long fingers, I can take this all the way up here to match his finger length, but he doesn't need that. So again, there's how I can fit a human correctly to the bike. But he needs this, and now go back to the grip, go get it. It's faster, isn't it?
Don't hit it with my middle finger.
Right, so at this point, button that up.
I never thought about that.
Nobody does because nobody gives you an ergonomics lesson. Again, would you rent a car and never move the seat and the steering wheel? Is what it all comes back to because we're too busy riding versus doing this. Now, brake side, hold it, go.
Okay.
And if you can't have that right, why are you introducing so much speed and distance with nothing happening other than this being the first movement? Why do you want that to be the first thing? Yep.
Stop it. But I can get that.
Now, is this subject to change? You leave it there for a week, try it. And if you find halfway through the week you are making a conscious choice of braking, it's in the wrong position. I need to brake. No, it's in the wrong place, move it. But give yourself a few days to try it and adjust it. Okay?
I mean, different body types are suited for different bikes as well, right?
Correct.
I've tried sport bikes before, and it's just
Everybody likes something. Yeah. So the other piece of the puzzle there is what really works for you. So now take your hands off completely. Make 2 fists and just gently put them up against the grips. Now, where's his spine? Is it still back? Is he still fully out that way? Because for some people, this is comfortable. For most of us that use a standard motorcycle, somewhere around 11 to 1 is fine. If you've got a bad back, 11 o'clock isn't fine. It sucks. So you're going to be more towards the 1 o'clock radius. So, long stretched out, bent back bars introduce lots of awkward angles. But we adapt to that, so why not optimize what at least we can? So the brake pedal goes down 1 notch, which is a 10 mil bolt. You can do that at home. Shift rod, play with that, put the shifter where it makes sense, and away we go. Nice and easy. Would you please go sit on that?
The sports bike would be different.
Everything's different, yeah.
Yeah, it's
But
not
the-
you are leaned over like that.
Yeah. And we don't have a sports bike, so we can't do anything with it. So at this point, now, is he centered? Ray, come on up. So as far as the camera will show, what do you see from behind? Is he centered or off? Yeah. Now, do you think this bike has never been down? Look at it. It's had a minute here and there, so let go of the bars for me. So I'm buying this as a used bike for my first bike because my dad said I can't have something nice. So I'm bringing a tape measure because I'm going to do this. What's the number to the top? Keep the bike still.
106.
Okay, rough numbers is good.
It's a 3 centimeter difference.
Oh, what's that going to do to my shoulders and neck? And how many Ks have I put on this in the last 10 days?
A lot.
A lot. So what hurts right now? This. Yeah, right side's up. So my neck is permanently sore every day because I'm twisted, because I'm in an urban environment and I have to use 2 hands. And this is very graciously donated to me because my bike threw the thermostat and probably ruptured the head gasket. But I have to be on a bike. If I get out of a car and do a presentation, everybody's I show up with dirt and bugs and pulling stuff out of my nose. I'm solid. Sit down. What you got to say, we'll listen. So in this instance, the other piece of the puzzle is when there's parts and pieces everywhere, is this bend here the same as that bend? But do you ever go look at that when you're buying a bike?
The wrinkles have got little scales on it.
Yeah, they do. So, what's that angle compared to that angle? It's different, eh? But again, oh, this is, yeah, I polish this every day. Goes in the shed, take care of it. Well, how many times did the shed move that caused the motorcycle to fall over? So little things like that make all the difference. Now, go ahead, hold the grip, just the grip. Go get it. Now move me, move my hand. See it? You can fix that by just adjusting the bolts. Now look how long his fingers are. It's here. Right? So what should I do with this? Bring it as far as I can this way. Because at that point, if I can get it all the way up here, because this is just a narrow tube, maybe I can make that lever work. But looking at it, it'd make it better, eh? So let's try it. So theory's great, but can we move it? Ooh. And if you don't try, how do you know? Now, is that too low? Are your fingers below your wrist?
That's good.
Okay, so go back to the throttle. Go get it. See how much quicker that is? Now let's put it back where it was. And remember to tighten it up for when I go home tonight. Now try it. Go back to the throttle. Can't get to it. So something simple like that is going to work a treat for you as a human with your motorcycle. So would you be more inclined now to give it a go? Because this is free money. This is free comfort awaiting you. Unless, of course, you are that masochist. And if you like that at home, that's fine. Carry on. But not on a motorcycle you're riding where you need to be relaxed. So how does this side compare? What's your personal take on the position and angle of the lever? What does it need? Apart from the fact it's way too short for your fingers, because he's doing this. And when your finger does this, what happens? You roll it. You're trying to roll the lever, so you roll your hand. It's not the way to pull it. So it's too high for sure, eh? Definitely too high, but the lever is too close to the bar for his hand size. Okay. Boots, sir. Size 13 up here. Thank you. So now let's have a look. So that is 190 mil or 19 centimeters. This gap is 14 centimeters. Look at his ankle angle. It's just misery. It's bloody misery. And then when he wants to put the part of his foot under the shifter where it should be, where's his heel? He's got to either put his heel there and put the shifter up here, or fix it. Now this has a shift rod, right, on this side where we can raise and lower the lever. We've got our shift rod here. So at that point we could make it somewhat comfortable. But is there anything wrong? Go ahead, put your foot all the way up on the peg.
All the way up on the peg.
Ball of your foot on the peg.
Yeah.
The ball of your foot on the peg. There you go. Is there anything wrong with cutting this off, re-drilling a hole here, bringing it forward? The great thing about Kiwis is they have a shed full of stuff, and they will make things happen. So is there anything wrong then with cutting this off, making a piece that goes over the top of this that locks in with a couple of set screws and the shifter's there? Anything wrong with that at all? So easy to do, eh? And all of a sudden, all it cost you was a bucket of beer and a steak dinner. Not even a wraparound hug. But you can fix it quickly. So there's so many solutions if you want to do it and make it work for yourself. Now, what was this measurement? Do you remember what the cruiser was? 49. So, much smaller, eh? Way different. So, depending on your spine and your arm length, his triangle's here. And it's tight. So the levers have to go down to reflect that forearm angle.
It's very straight in the arm.
Yeah.
And the handlebars are
And that's
right forward as well.
Yep. So I'm a lot shorter than he is. So I've made the best out of what I can get for this. And it's going to be a lot better when it goes back into the fleet for riders to learn on.
So you brought it forward upright.
I've brought it forward to me. Go ahead, dismount for me. Because stock position in the handlebars on this. This is higher than this. Stock. This is roll further forward. So if you roll this forward, this end's going to be higher than the inside, eh? I didn't want that. I'm already screwed up enough. Why would I want more pain? So I rolled this to get the handlebar grip level, perfectly level with the ground. Because this is much easier than this. Okay, last piece, take a seat again. Okay, feet up. I got you. Now, let go of the bars. Can you use both hands, get your small finger, your pinky, into the back of your knee on both sides. In, not touch. So go all the way back to your hip, put your hand flat, and slide it all the way in flat. How hard is it to get in there? So the knee angle and the calf, his calf is touching his hamstring, eh?
Yeah, he's got his...
So what's the easy solution here? How about 50 mil of foam on the seat? New rear sets are very expensive, and you drop pegs where the peg's 25 mil lower. What's that going to do for ground clearance? Hopeless, eh? Now you're just making the bike not unrideable, but not fun. So pain and misery is how close is the seat to the peg, and how much of your calf is impacting your hamstring. Okay, feet down, you own it. Kickstand is down, dismount. Okay, so now for comparison, go ahead, take a seat. Square the bars up. Feet up. Now, what's the knee angle like? Easier?
Do you want him on the balls or the heel?
No, he puts his feet where he wants, right? Now, when we're riding and we're having fun, we're on the balls of our feet. When we're in the city, we're in the middle of our foot. We're just cruising around. There's no reason to be in an athletic position. Now, triangle's totally different. Spine is much shorter. Doesn't mean the arms are shorter, just means the angle of attack's shorter. Lever angle right now for you is good. Works great. But there's, what, 50 mil shorter in spine length?
I ride standing up a lot.
Right, so when you do, let go of the bars, do that, stand up. Okay, so for ADV, because it's perfect timing, where should his bar be? Make 2 fists, relax. That's his bar. That's the bar height. End of story. Can't tell you how many pro motocrossers don't understand that. And they're all hunched up and pulled over and trying to manipulate the clutch and the brake and keep the throttle going and keep the wheel spinning. And they're all like that, bent over.
Yeah.
Soon as we put the handlebars in the right place and found the right width bar, because there's such a number of off-road bars available, all of a sudden the slowest guy was waxing everyone. Because he could send it and just be right there.
I was in a creek this morning.
Good for you. But at that point, does this triangle piece make sense?
Yeah.
How big's your spine? How big's your arms? How short or long are your legs? How does that work? And then based on that and that triangle, how does that all relate to levers for your fingers and stubbies or long fingers? How can you take this triangle piece and make it fit you? How much do you need to spend? How much do you need to think about it and think laterally and not think about replacement parts? Think about how can you manipulate what you have to make it work for you. Make sense? And because you're such a practical bunch, you'll find the solutions and you'll have fun doing it too. Because you don't have to go and spend $800 on a couple of levers. You just sit there and puzzle it and figure it out and sketch it out, and somebody you know makes it. And now we're supporting each other in our own community. Oh, he's got a mill, he's got a lathe. I have a drill. Sounds like the barbecue's getting fired up to me. Who's bringing the beer? And of course nobody's riding because you're too busy working on it. But little real world examples like this. So did you get the shifter moved?
No, not yet. No.
Oh, okay. Any questions on what we did on the board, which is all two-dimensional, to now this three-dimensional world? Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go back upstairs, wrap it all up, and then we'll have question and answer time. Okay, first part of the triangle. Honor the stomach. You invested in it. Don't suck it up. Don't pull it in. Don't put a corset on. Let it go. Now, exactly what is that going to be? Now, if you want to lose 50 pounds, there's your motivation. But is that too far? What is it? And then here, what's that knee angle? Right? Where you at? And the older we get, trust me, the more you want that knee open. The more you work it, if you get an injury, you might have one peg lower than the other. Is that a problem if it allows you to ride pain-free? All you've got there is a cornering issue. How many of you scrape your pegs all the way through to the rubber every third ride? Not an issue. Then other parts, right? What's that angle for the shift lever and the brake lever? And can you roll radius the bars? or if you have clip-ons, can they radius this way? There may be a bolt there, or underneath the triple clamp, the handlebar may have a little nipple on it like that, and that fits into a triangle shape. So it can move. End of the bar can move up to 10 mil. So some sport bikes literally have that open casting in the bottom of the triple clamp to allow that nipple to move around inside of it. So you can put the bar wherever you want. So that means this radius with clip-ons can go this way. The other part is there are many different degrees of handlebars. There is 7 degrees, there's 5 degrees, and there's basically, it's better written as flat or 0 degree. What do you want? What works for you with your bike? What's best? Now, that only relates to clip-ons. It doesn't relate to anything else. But when you have your handlebar shape, how would you want this to be? And ideally, it would be flat. Back in the day, we would get some MAP gas in the yellow containers, warm it up, big old piece of pipe. Very slowly, very carefully, because it was mild steel that was chromed, we weren't hurting it. And we get it exactly where we wanted it. Then the roll radius was always a flat bar on the grip side. All those that own dirt bikes do that as force of habit. You have a big A-frame, you fall over, you bend the bar, you go, right, let's carry on. Because they bend back, and that's what we've done since this big. Because it's a dirt bike, it's going to fall over. A supermoto is going to fall over, it's going to bend. So we have a big old fat A-frame that just puts it back into shape. So when you're considering this piece of the puzzle, right, the last piece to remember on this is your gap for the pedal and shifter. The brake we can fudge a little bit, but this has to be right. Just has to be right. And there's so many cheap and easy ways to fix it. That's going to stay on the board before you leave if you want to photograph, because it just makes it easier for you. Take one. Won't be a problem at all. We've got 10 minutes for questions. Anybody want to fire some at me?
Yep. First one is, why do you need to know the bar? You got the bar question mark. Why do you need to know that distance? Because if it's personal, like I'm feeling, you know what I mean?
As soon as your shoulders open up,
Yeah.
you're too far.
Right, but
That's your arm length, flat out.
I don't need to measure it, do I? Like I just do it.
You can sit on the bike, and
Yeah.
so if you wanted to, just because sitting on a bike, getting off the bike, it's tedious in a showroom.
Yep.
If you know what that distance is,
Okay. Yep.
do you want to be bothered by a salesman every 2 minutes? Oh, hang on, mate. Just a minute. Want to sit sag with me as well? I got a phone call. Okay. So you can go to every bike and just go, okay, I need to know that 50 mil is my distance roughly that I need. These 3 will work. I don't want those 3, I want this one. Damn it.
Get the blue one.
Okay, what am I going to have to spend? Because it's such an emotional attachment. You can pick a yellow bike out of a yellow line of bikes and go, that one. Okay, yes sir, that one it is. We just connect. So part of that connection then is making it right for us. So if you make it quick and simple, you can actually rip through a bunch of bikes that are on your hot list and just measure them out and just go, okay. Same as if you know what this gap is, you can literally just be, nope, next.
I guess knowing that those options should be considered, you're looking to see whether your bike's got those adjustments, right?
Is it in that range? Because you're always willing to spend something We always do on a bike. We always buy something for it. But is it close? What's happening vicariously while you're doing that?
You're waiting.
What is he doing? What is that all about? What is going on? You're paying it forward, even though you're not. People are watching going, what? So the intelligent question is, what data are you gathering there? That's a conversation that I will engage with. What's that Muppet doing? It's not a conversation I'm going to engage with at all, because that's a glass half empty. I always deal with a glass half full. I'm doing this because salesperson comes over, I am this inseam, my spine's this long, my ideal reach is this, and I want to peg to seat of this, because that makes me comfortable in my height. Nothing to do with my weight yet, sitting on the bike, but that makes me fit the bike, and I'm going to be really comfortable and really enjoy the bike from the minute I put the key in it. Oh, who's he going to pay that forward to? Is he going to go learn it? Is he going to help people? You don't know how many dominoes you're going to knock down by doing something. And just even if you're not interacting, people notice. So the biggest part for me is all those videos help you. Well, can you carry on and without even knowing it, help somebody else? So figuring that out and knowing roughly where you are makes it quick to rip through some bikes and know roughly where you're going to go. But again, if there's that bike you want, you know where the deficiency is and how to spend your money initially to make that bike comfortable. Because you don't want a bike that you really, really want that hurts you after 20 minutes. Because that is the love-hate relationship we just don't need. Yes?
So if you're stuck with a bike and you've done your adjustments, but one of them is like the one downstairs, which is bars all the way forward. Does that change the riding feel or dynamic significantly enough to go, actually, that's not a good option? I need to maybe either get rid of the bike or look at a new set of bars.
Okay, so if you go through that process and just try and get it as close as you can, after a few days of riding, where's the pain? Okay, can I make that pain go away? No. All right, is that endemic to this? Period.
I guess
So
more on the actual riding dynamic of the bike. Does it change?
No.
Yeah, okay.
when you do this and you do this, it does not. When you do this and do this, yes, it does. You put wider bars on there, what's your leverage? How's your strength? You need a lot less, when you do that. But what if you're a little too wide? Ooh, ooh. So yes, that would. So width of the bars will absolutely change the dynamics of the bike, because you're not pushing here, you're pushing there. Your weight distribution, center of the bike, wherever you sit, isn't changing at all. The movement of your body forwards and backwards isn't changing at all. So the difference between a sport bike and a standard bike is very small if you use a set of scales under each wheel. That's 5 to 8%. Not very much. That being said, genetics and investment, it's more weight, so proportionally it's much more different. And the taller you are, the more you're going to push that front wheel with weight, because you're bringing more forward. So anatomy will affect that, not necessarily moving the bars. Did that answer your question correctly?
Yeah, fully. Thanks.
Okay, anything else? No?
Yeah, you comment on specific bikes, or was that something for another course?
Another course. When we get it, really dive into something a lot deeper. This is something to fire you up and make you go home and go sit on your bike and go, what can I fix? Because this really isn't right for me. Okay, everything we've done is on YouTube on my channel. For God's sake, search something like levers, ergonomics. There's been videos put up there from 2006 when I actually had hair. So it looks very different, but the information is timeless because it applies to everybody on everything. So please use the search function and just use that and get into it and see what you can find. Number 2, forms. Would you please fill them out, because that means money for courses like this. So before you leave, if you would take a minute to do that, I'd appreciate it. Remember to take a picture of the board if it is of value to you. And then lastly, can we have a round of applause for Paulette for putting this together for you?